coming to this study tips workshop. And before I pass it on to our faculty advisor, Veronica, I just want to give out a few reminders for our upcoming events and social. Let me share my screen very quick. Oh, interesting. All right, I'll press on present. Oh, there's a... Wait. Sorry. Present. All right, can you guys see this? Can you guys see the screen?
Yep.
All right. So our Halloween social is coming up on October 29th. So if you want to join us, and if you want to dress up, that'll be also be cool. So at the same time, there's also the pumpkin DECA pumpkin test, so contest. So we might, if you want to, we might also be able to, do our pumpkin carve on that day. There'll be more information coming up. Just follow our social media and watch out for email. So on the other hand, there's also the contender challenge. So tomorrow is the last day. If you want to represent DECA and compete with other campus organization, please sign up. We sent out an email, so you can just click on the email and then it will take you to the link and just put in your name and email address, or you can just reach me personally. I can put your name on the list. So you'll be able to win cash prizes and EYS points. Right, and now I'll just introduce our faculty advisor, Veronica. She's also the senior academic advisor at Lee Business School. So some of you might have seen her when you're planning out your schedules. And I'll pass it on to her. Stop sharing my screen.
Okay, thank you, Kaden. Hi, everybody. I'm Veronica Cazares. I'm a senior academic advisor in Lee Business School and also the faculty advisor for DECA. Today, we are going to be talking about study tips. So let me just get my presentation up. Okay, perfect. Okay, so before we get started, okay. One second, you guys. There we go. Can you still see the presentation? Yes, okay, perfect. So just first off, I know midterms are coming up. I think they're this week and next week, looking at my calendar. So think of it this way. So if you are taking a 3-credit class, you should technically be studying about 3 hours per credit. So that already is about 9 hours of studying that you should be doing for one class in 1 week. And then if you are going to class, whether it's virtual or in person, that's another 3 hours that you're spending in class already. That's already going to be 12 hours per week for one class. And then if you're taking 5 classes, you're already spending about 60 hours per week for one class. So you're already doing a full-time job. So you have to find ways to balance out what's going to work best for you. And that's what I'm hoping that I can help you with today. So one thing that you need to do is think about what type of test you perform better with, because that's going to be the one that's going to be easier for you. And then you need to determine what type of test do you not perform well in and focus a lot more time, not so much time, but a lot more time developing those study skills for that particular test, whether it's true and false. I hate true and false. They're the hardest in my opinion. Or if you have to maybe write an essay or even short answers. Short answers are a little bit easier. So first, determine what type of test you perform best in. And then, I'm just going to move this. Give me 1 second. And then which type of test do you prefer? Does the content being tested impact your preference? So do you like math versus English better? Do you like science versus history? So, and then which type of test do you prefer? So learning and test taking. Learning in college takes place in 3 state processes: acquiring information from lectures and readings, studying that information and storing it in your brain as knowledge, and then demonstrating that knowledge on exams. So reading is not studying. So keep this in mind. Simply reading and rereading text or notes is not actively engaging in the material. It is simply, you're just rereading your notes. That's all it is. Only doing the readings for class is not studying. It is simply doing the reading for class. Rereading leads to quick forgetting. I know when I'm reading and I continue to reread when I'm studying for something, I'm not retaining that information. Think of reading as an important part of like pre-studying. But learning the information requires actively engaging in the material. So active studying does not mean highlighting or underlining or rereading or rote memorization. Though these activities may help you keep things like together and engaged in the task, they are not considered active studying techniques, and they are weakly related to improved learning. So ideas for active studying could include such things as create a study guide by topic. What this means is that formulate questions and problems and write complete answers. Create your own quiz. I'm sure, I don't know, I know like in my Business 103 class I teach, I have my students, sometimes I'll have them create their own questions for the exam coming up, and I'll use those questions. So that might help you in this active studying. Become a teacher. What this might mean is that say the information aloud in your own words as if you are the instructor and teaching the concepts to a class. Get examples that relate to your own experiences. That can help immensely, especially if you can relate it to something that you're already familiar with. Create diagrams, and then that can help explain the material. So like if you're in a math class, create those diagrams. Use charts and graphs. Develop symbols that represent concepts. So sometimes we have like an easy acronym that could help you remember something longer term. And then for the non-technical classes, such as like English, history, and psychology, figure out the big ideas so you can explain, contrast, and reevaluate them. For technical classes, work the problems and explain the steps as to why they work. So technical would probably be math and even sciences. Organization and planning will help you immensely. It'll help you to actively study for your courses. When studying for a test, organize your materials first and then begin your active reviewing by topic. Often professors, as you might see, provide subtopics. You might find them in a course syllabi, or you may also find them in a study guide, or even something that they might provide like through Web Campus. Use them as a guide to help organize your materials. For example, gather all the materials for one topic. So all your PowerPoints, all your notes that you've taken, textbook notes, articles, homework, etc., anything, and put them together in a pile. Label each pile with the topic and study by topics. That might help you in certain situations. But being organized, I can't stress that enough. It's going to help you immensely moving forward, not just with studying, but with everything. And we're going to talk more about different ways to help you become organized. So understand the study cycle. Some of you may have already learned about the study cycle, whether you visited the Academic Success Center or in some of your classes, they may have brought it up. But the study cycle can help you improve your grades, as what I've heard from students and from the Academic Success Center also. So preview. preview before class. What this means is that look over bold and italicized print, headings, outline formulas, images, and graphs of the assigned material. Skim the chapter, read over summaries and material at the end of the chapter, and ask yourself what questions you would like to have answered in class. And that's going to help you prepare for class. And then step 2, attend class. Now, this only works if you actually have a class that you have to attend through Zoom or WebEx or in person. For those web-based courses, obviously you can't attend class. But for those who can, when you are attending class, or even if you need to ask your instructor, this can also be, like if you have a web-based course, this can also work for you too. Ask questions, take creative, meaningful notes. So if you have a question for your instructor, something you're not sure about, and it is a web-based course, ask those questions, but don't wait the day of the exam. Instructors don't like that at all. When you're taking notes, draw maps and other images that make sense to you and to the content. Due to the preview, you will find yourself feeling more confident and connected to what is going on. Your notes will be more meaningful and clear, especially because you are making them make sense for yourself. Number 3, reflect. So what this means is that reflect on what you have learned. Teach someone else. That could, so as I mentioned earlier, be a teacher. Create your own test questions. Recreate the test environment. So whether you are taking the exam online, let's say in your bedroom or at the kitchen table, recreate what that test environment is going to look like, and you can use that test environment while you're studying. And then figure out what study strategies and tools worked best. Recreate concepts, maps, or outlines. Oh, sorry, you guys, that was step 4 actually. We're going to go back. So step 1 was preview, step 2 is attend, step 3 is study. I'm sorry, I got that wrong on the presentation. Step 3 is study. So what this means is that you review often. Repetition is key to the strengthening your brain's ability. Long-term memory. The more you review, the more ways you do it better, and your brain's going to be able to retain and recall the information that they saw. And then step 4 is reflect. Reflect on what you have learned. Teach someone else. Like I said, create your own test questions, recreate the test environment, figure out the test strategies. So once again, step 1 is preview before class. Step 2, attend class. And if you can't attend class, ask your instructor questions that you are not sure about. Step 3 is study. Review often. It doesn't mean that you review in a 2-hour sitting, but we're going to talk about how you should be reviewing. And then reflect on what you have learned. So spacing out is good. So what this might mean is one of the most impactful learning strategies is distributed practice, spacing out as you're studying over several short periods of time. So I mentioned earlier, don't take a 2-hour time frame and study. You want to space that out over several days and weeks. The most effective practice is to work a short time on each class every day. So the total amount of time spent studying will be the same or less than 1-2 marathon library sessions. But you will learn the information more deeply also. The important thing, is how to use your study time, not how long to study. So keep that in mind. How do you use your study time? Long study sessions lead to lack of concentration, thus a lack of learning and retention. I know that if I try to study for 2 hours, I've probably only retained about 15 minutes of it, if that. So don't wait until the day before to study, but you want to be studying periodically throughout the week for each session. For each class, I mean. And then in order to spread out studying over short periods of time across several days and weeks, you need to control your schedule. That's huge. Keep a list of tasks to complete on a daily basis. This will help you to include regular active studying sessions for each class. And then try to do something for each class each day. Don't try to choose 2 subjects per day, but do something for each class each day, whether it's reading a chapter or going over cards or something, or even doing some of your homework, but don't try to do it all in one day. And then be specific and realistic regarding how long you plan to spend on each task. If you're going to say that you're going to study for 2 hours for math, I don't think that's realistic. I don't think anybody can study that long for math, and not consistently and not effectively. Make it short stretches, like I said before. This will help you focus, stay on top of your work, and retain information. In addition to learning the material more deeply, spacing out your work helps to stave off procrastination. I know all of us procrastinate. And if you tell me you don't, I think you might be lying. Rather than having to face the dreaded project for 4 hours, like I said, the day before or the day that it's due, you can face that project in like 30 minutes each day. The shorter, more consistent time to work on a dreaded project or to study is likely to be more acceptable and less likely to be delayed to the last minute. Finally, if you have to memorize material for class, names, dates, formulas, it's best to make flashcards for the materials and review those periodically, especially for math or history. You can definitely use these if you have to memorize a lot of stuff. So, environment you study best in. So, what environment do you study best in? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a quiet space. You need to know where you study best. The silence of a library may not be the best place for you. For me, it is. For you, you might need to be in your bedroom with the TV on, and that's fine. It's important to consider what noise environment works best for you. You might find that you concentrate better with some background noise. Some people find that listening to classical music while studying helps, listening to rock, listening to jazz, or even some people might even like the quiet space, but they might need to have something on the TV. And then if silence is distracting to you, don't go there. You need to really determine what your space is best for you, whether it's also in the kitchen, classroom, or even a car. And then also keep in mind that active studying is rarely silent, as it often requires saying the material aloud. So keep that in mind also. So you might also be hearing yourself in the active studying. Multitasking. I know a lot of us will say that we do this well, but it might not work. So a significant amount of research actually has indicated that multitasking does not improve efficiency, and it actually can negatively affect results. In order to study smarter, not harder, you will need to eliminate distractions during your study sessions. You have to. It's going to help you a lot if you can eliminate those distractions. When I say distractions, what I mean is social media, web browsing, game playing, texting, we all do it. Those are going to severely affect the intensity of your study sessions. So going back to creating a place that works best for you, creating small amounts of times to study, but you also have to be willing to take away those distractions. Put your phone away, put it on silent, turn it off, do whatever you need to do. That's going to help you if you can take those distractions away. Also, something else is that research is clear that multitasking increases the amount of time needed to learn material, and it decreases the quality of learning. Let's see. So just keep that in mind. And then reward intensive studying with like a social media break or a trip to get a coffee or something. Reward yourself for being able to do it. I always tell my students and everyone I work with that you have to create little rewards for yourself so you actually will continue doing and creating a habit for yourself. Take control of your calendar. So you need to control your schedule. I know a lot of you're working full-time, part-time, you're taking 12 to 18 credits. maybe even more for some of you. You have a social life, you want to go see your friends, you got to take control of that schedule. You will be able to complete your assignments and stay on top of your coursework if you can do that. And here's a few tips. So on the same day each week, maybe let's say a Saturday or Sunday, plan out your schedule for the week. Okay, you can use, I used to use a calendar that gave me every day of the week, and it was balanced out by every hour of the day. That might be too much for you, but find something that works for you. But try to plan your day each week on your weekly schedule on one day each week, but make it consistent. Go through each class and write down what you'd like to be completed for the class that week. So whether it's I have to read chapter 5, 6, 7, I have to do problems 23 to 40, write those down and make sure you know what you have to do. And then look at your calendar and determine how many hours you have to complete your work. So how many hours do you truly have that you can devote this time to studying? Determine whether your list can be completed in the amount of time that you have specified. Make adjustments as needed. That's important. For example, if you find that it will take you more hours to complete your work than you have available, you will likely need to triage your readings. Completing all the readings is a luxury, or even your coursework or whatever you need to complete. You should read and take notes on all the assignments from the favored class source, so the one that is used a lot in the class. So what this means is that this may be the textbook or the reading or even PowerPoints, and then you can likely skim supplemental readings. The other thing is pencil into your calendar when you plan to get assignments completed. So if you have made a list, determine what day you are going to complete specific assignments, and devote that time to that specific, whether it's I'm reading for 30 minutes or I'm doing problems 15 of 20, but I need to do problems of 15 of 35. So small increments of time. And then before going to bed each night, make your plan for the next day. I find that waking up with a plan it makes me more productive, and I'm sure it'll make you more productive too. And then finally, use downtime to your advantage. I talk about this a lot in my time management presentation that I give for my Business 103 class. Be aware of easy weeks. This is like the calm before the storm. Lighter work weeks, they're a great time to get ahead on your work, do projects, use the extra hours to get ahead on assignments, start big projects or papers. So if you have easy weeks, use them. You should plan to work on every class each week, even if you don't have anything due. So if you have nothing due, maybe you can get ahead. And then in fact, it is preferred to do some work for each of your classes every day, like we talked about, right? Spending 30 minutes per class each day will add up to 3 hours per week, as I mentioned earlier. But spreading this time over 6 days is more effective than your cramming sessions could be. If you have completed all of your work in a particular class, then use the 30 minutes to get ahead in another class or another project. Another personal time management skill is to make good use of waiting time. What I mean by this is, have you ever thought about how much time you're spending doing nothing during the average day? So as I mentioned earlier, usually those situations might come across when you are just sitting on the couch doing nothing. Maybe you're texting. Yes, you're doing something, but is this a really effective way to use your time? Think about all the things you could accomplish if you could make use of this time. For instance, time you spend commuting on the bus, time you spend waiting at the doctor's office or for an appointment, time you spend on a plane if you're flying right now, or waiting at a coffee shop for your order. Because I know right now, we go out to eat, but lines are pretty long. So use that time. What about time you spend on hold on the telephone? I know I can go 20 minutes on hold. I've done it actually last week. I was on hold for about 20 minutes. So use that time. And then also time that you spend when you arrive at work or at a meeting early. So if you arrive somewhere early, use that time also. There are two ways to look at these periods of time. You can either consider them as waste of time or a gift of time. If you choose to think of them as a gift of time, you can use them as opportunities, okay, to accomplish routines, tasks that are necessary, but don't require large periods of time. And then most successful people, think about this, have already found that there are a number of things that they can accomplish while they wait. So use that waiting time. And then just finally, one other thing I want to mention is learn when to say no. I didn't put this in the presentation, but this is huge. So what this means is that learn when you can't do any more, or you can't take lead on a project, or you can't go out that night, but you need to learn how to say no. It's going to get harder for you because you're going to want to eventually do everything, but you need to realize that you can't, and that's okay. So that is all I have. I can take questions if anybody has any questions. And if not, that's okay too. Yes, look, I don't know. Oh, Carla, I do get names. Okay. Just have to put my mouse over. Carla. Carla, I think you have to unmute yourself. I think Carla just may have froze.
Oh no. I think this happened last week.
Oh no. Well, does anybody else have a question? And if you guys, I'm sure you guys have Carla's email. If you just want her to email me, I can always answer her question through email. Oh, she might have figured it out actually. Carla, did you have a question? I think you're not frozen anymore.
Rest time. Let's take rest on them. Do nothing, 5-10 minutes.
So if she wants to, we can provide her your email, and then if she has a question, she can just email you. And
are you able to hear me now?
yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, let me turn on my camera. Okay, so since school is like a job, is it recommended to take a break on the weekends? To just not do nothing on Saturday and Sunday except for planning on Sunday evening?
Not necessarily, and here's why, because that's not realistic. I mean, unless you can really get everything done in a full week, like in your Monday through Friday, then yeah, take a break. But I've received my undergrad and 2 master's degrees, and I've never had the weekend off working full time. And even when I wasn't working full time, I never had the weekend off. There was always a time that I needed to do something on the weekend. But if you need to take like a day, maybe make Sunday your day that you just don't do anything, but make sure that you are utilizing your time and you're planning your time accordingly to where you can effectively complete everything within Monday through Saturday, let's say, for example. But even if you can plan everything Monday through Friday, still remember that you might still need, like group projects, for example, are a great example. You might need to use the weekends for group projects. So it might not be realistic, but maybe if, like I said, you can find a day where you don't do anything, just plan your time accordingly.
Okay, I just have another question too. So About how many hours a day should I study?
Well, remember earlier I mentioned if you're taking a 3-credit class, you should be studying about 3 hours per class. So let's say, I would say if you're doing it within 6 days, 30 minutes per class. But it depends on how extensively, do you really need to study 30 minutes per class? Or is it like maybe one class you only need to study 10 to 15 minutes because you are getting the material faster than another class? I would say at least 30 minutes per class if you're dividing it between 6 days.
Okay, and when you say studying, are you just referring to like when you have to go over your notes and things like that, or also
I'm referring to anything. So whether it's reading a chapter, writing notes, going over your notes, going over the PowerPoints, anything that you have to do in regards to that material for the exam.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then also remember, you guys, I mentioned use yes, you're studying. So keep in mind, every time you read a chapter, that's considered studying. You are studying for it. So I said preview, look over big text, read. You don't have to read the whole entire book. You can get the gist of what the chapter is about by just reading those things that really stick out in the book. So yeah, you just got to kind of find what works best for you and then just go with that. Now keep in mind what I mentioned earlier, it might not work best for you the first time. You might have to readjust and reevaluate and really determine what's going to work for you and try something different next time around.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One question as well.
Yes.
I think regarding when you mentioned when being your own teacher or becoming a teacher kind of for yourself, couldn't that also include if you do have let's say you take a class with someone you know or someone you met and you talk to each other a lot about the class, couldn't that be the same thing where you could teach each other or test each other or kind of see if the other person understands what you're saying?
Yes.
As a practice?
Definitely. I mean, you consistently repeating stuff to each other because you're teaching. In a way, you're just teaching how you know it. But yes, definitely asking if they understand what you're saying could be beneficial as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yes. Actually, I do. I have another question.
Yes.
So, is it good and effective to space your study sessions throughout the day, or yes?
Yes, you need to space your study session. Don't I know I said earlier to spend 30 minutes on one topic, spend 30 minutes on another, but I wouldn't recommend spending 1 hour on 2 topics. I would recommend maybe you take 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in mid-morning or something like that. But yeah, I would definitely take breaks because nobody can sit for an hour and just study. It's nearly impossible and you are going to get tired of if you do it that way. So I would definitely take breaks. Even 15-minute breaks could help.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh. Okay.
Okay, so the last part. So, does any of you guys want to share your study tips? If you have any, and you want to share with us? All right. Yeah, I
Kaden,
guess
you're
they'll
on
be.
mute. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just realized that. So, if you have any other questions regarding the chapter or regarding any events, so please, yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask them right now, and then, or you can email us on Facebook, or ask questions on Facebook, or email us directly at our email. Any other questions about events or contests, socials? Nope. Okay. Oh,
I have a question. So for the competition tomorrow that I signed up for, am I going to receive like a link from somebody for that?
yes. So you will receive an email from the event organizer, which is Dr. Runge, and then they will include a Zoom link, and you just click on the link and then tell her you're from DECA, and she will assign you to our room.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Oh, I think Samir just texted something in the chat. Oh, that's Samir's study tips. Great. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone for coming today, and I'm greatly appreciate it. Yes. And let's give a thank you to Veronica. Thank you her for taking her time to be here. And yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you, Veronica. Woo.
Thank you.
You're welcome.